Hello and welcome to the THDTV 360 Sports Program, coming to you live today from Badjie. I am Badjie. If you are watching me for the first time, thank you for joining us. Like we always say, this is a platform that looks at the happening of sports in this country. But don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and now on Facebook Live. So don't forget to follow us there and send us that comment. I'll be back with a very important guest today on our platform, but after this short break.
I will run the town, yeah, fuck all the city. The guys are pretty, Manola Maban, Super Songs, yeah. Hey, Hamare Mekani Babanga Ba, Sika di Made, Dela di Mako Henambote, or I can link it THD Online TV. Follow us, Muhoga Babanga Munda, Namunda na THD Online TV. Follow your Instagram, your Facebook, your TikTok, your YouTube. Kadaga Hani follow THD Online TV. Welcome back to
the 360 SPA Sports Program, coming to you live from the Ministry of Youth and Sports today in Banjul. I'm glad to say we have the honor again to speak to the Honorable Minister for Youth and Sports, Bakary Badjie. Thank you so very much, Honorable, for honoring this invitation for this interview. I want to first start by congratulating you for the successes registered in the various disciplines during the period, notably basketball, volleyball, handball, school football, etc. Let's begin, with the postmortem of sport developments in the Gambia for the past 7 months.
Thank you, Mr. Haji, and good to be here with you in this program, and we also congratulate you on the successes so far, and of course all the things going on. In the past 7 months, we've had quite a number of achievements, mostly. Of course, we have our shortcomings as well, but in terms of achievements, you follow. Let me start with the most recent one, which we consider to be Gambia's most successful event or outing in sports as far as we know in history. Where we won quite a number of medals, I guess up to 12 or so. In the athletics with gold medal, silver medal, and bronze. Gambia won the basketball 3-on-3 at the African School Games, and then we won the volleyball, beach volleyball also in Nigeria recently, and now Gambia is the champion at the under 18 category in beach volleyball for male, and then third in beach volleyball for female. And all of those two teams have qualified for the World Championship under 18 beach volleyball World Championship in Qatar, which is coming up later in this year. And of course, we've seen how much our young people, school-going children, have done in Algeria, and all of that is thanks to the collaborative work between us and the GNOC and the Gambia Volleyball Association, but of course, with the financial backing of the government of the Gambia. And so these are some of the things. Of course, we know the national team is also currently participating in the continuation of the World Cup, and they have a match coming up in September and in October. Of course, where we are standing, it's not very favorable, but we believe that it's a good time for Gambia to reflect on our football. And of course, the ranking as well, in terms of winning, it can improve on the ranking, even if we don't qualify for the World Cup, and that can help us prepare better for the next African Cup of Nations qualifier. So it's been some good ends in terms of participation. We are just about to host the under 18 beach volleyball, the African Championship, which is starting on the 2nd of September. And actually it starts on the 1st, but on the 2nd is when the training happens, and then 3rd, 4th, 5th is the competition, and the 6th is the final, and all of that. So all of that shows how much Gambia is being positioned around the country, around the world, around the continent in terms of sport participation. And to conclude, in January this year, we hosted African ministers and African experts in anti-doping when the Gambia was given the opportunity to host the Africa Anti-Doping Ministerial Meeting at the Sadara Karavajara Conference Center. And for us, that's a pride moment for the Gambia and a pride moment for West Africa that such meeting is brought to the Gambia, and we did well in hosting it successfully.
You hold the highest authority of youth and sports matters in the Gambia. and we have been engaged in a series of sporting events in the name of the country. Yeah. And surely each of these activities need adequate funding. And tell us how to cater funds for all these programs in the name of the Gambia with just, the limited budget for sports in this country.
No, it's a challenge, to be frank. I'm sure you know about it yourself because you're also, part of leadership of one of the associations, and you know how much we struggle. But for us, it is a responsibility that government have, and government recognizes that we have a responsibility to take care of sports, both in the infrastructure development and when it comes to the participation of our national teams of all categories of sport. And the budget in the local funds sometimes cannot, not even sometimes, it cannot cater for much. So government came up with the idea of putting in place a small levy to support the sports sector, and that has been very crucial in terms of helping us to be able to finance some of the activities we do. But even with that, a lot of times we have to go back to the president and the government to seek for additional funding. Because, for instance, the stadium work is not part of any budget, cannot even cater from a levy. The work we're doing in terms of supporting communities that send us requests here to say we want to fence our football field and we give them money, it doesn't come from the normal budget. We go back to the president to say this is needed, and then he would engage finance and they make some of those funding available. But it's more about management. It's all about negotiating with the people that provide the funds, which is the Ministry of Finance and the office of the president, to ensure things get going. Now, sometimes we face with challenges. Somebody can, or an association can submit a budget, for instance, of 10 million or 20 million, and we cannot provide that. We would provide maybe a percentage of it, 50%, 70% of what they request. And then we will explain to them that this is how much we are able to do. And sometimes they understand, sometimes it doesn't go down well with some of the associations, but we wish we have the resources to be able to do more. And we're looking forward to being innovative in our financing to be able to take care of more activities of this sports sector.
You talked about the Football Federation, the recent engagement that they are planning to go. Yeah. And that's the FIFA World Cup qualifiers 2025, 2026, with two important matches, that is against Kenya and Burundi in Nairobi next month. Yeah. How is your collaboration so far with the Football Federation in this with these important games?
Well, it's been cordial. We do our meetings at the technical level or at the policy level, and they understand that they do the budgeting because most of those things are done at their level. They do the technical arrangements with the coaches and the selection of the players. Now, ministerial's responsibility is primarily to support the budget, and the technical aspect is 100% handled by them. And yeah, they did their budget, and I know they're leaving on Sunday. And government, I'm not sure the level of the process, but we committed to support part of the budget, and I guess we are on it. If they have not received it, I'm sure they must have already been in the process of getting the money. But again, like everybody knows, football is one of the most expensive. Maybe it's the most expensive sports, especially for Gambia. So 2 games, like you said, sometimes the budget can go up to $20 million, for those 2 games. They're considered as one outing, but then 2 matches been played with Kenya, hosted in Kenya, and of course, because of our problem with the stadium, Burundi, Gambia is hosting Burundi in Kenya as well, so we're staying at one. And I saw some also, people start to talk about it, but it was a different reason. Yes. If you're playing Kenya in Kenya, why do you have to travel somewhere else to go and host another country? So you rather just make arrangements to stay there so that it will be one inbound flight and then one outbound flight, and it saves you cost and then also helps in the preparation. Because the time you spend traveling, you're wasting a day or 2. So if you stay in one country, you play with one country, and then that allows you to stay there. The boys get reorganized and then refresh and then get ready for the next match again. So that's the idea. And the Football Federation is handling that properly to our satisfaction, and I guess the satisfaction of everyone that is following. Yeah,
it's very important sometimes when we speak with honorable ministers like you, especially dealing with sport, because there are a lot of things that circulated sometimes on social media that sometimes can be clarified when you are there, especially the youth parties that you lead. That will go straight to the basketball team that's traveled to the African Cup of Nations. That is the WAFU championship, and on their way. They had accidents to Guinea-Bissau. That is the girls basketball, tournaments. But again, thank you so much for that, because your response was quick. You responded quick to, in the caring of the injured players, through a special flight arranged by government to return the team back home. I do guess that the injured have all recovered now, and we wish them speedy recovery as well. But why did the ministry allow that team to travel through the road?
Well, the traveling by road, to be very direct, is very common. Let me say in the sub-region, not just in Gambia, but in the sub-region. Many countries, many teams, be it sport or school or whatever activities, they travel by road because it is sometimes easier, sometimes cheaper in terms of cost-wise, and then quite a number of things, factors. But again, we all know the connectivity in terms of flights within this area is very difficult. Today, like I always said the last time, if you leave Gambia, you want to go to Guinea-Conakry, you will have to drive to Senegal and then pick up a flight from Senegal and go to Guinea. Yeah, so you have to, and sometimes you do that, sometimes you have to even leave Africa and then come back to West Africa again. And it comes along with a lot of logistics and a lot of cost. I guess that's one of the reasons. But as a ministry, we have a responsibility in terms of policy, in terms of financing. But logistic arrangements are not our responsibility, and they are not the responsibility of the Sport Council as well. And so these are things that we try to make people understand, that when there is a problem and people say, oh, the ministry did this, and unfortunately in the case of basketball, yes, people shifted more attention to the ministry because they think the ministry is the one that did the bus. Could we have told the guys not to travel by bus? Maybe it would be very difficult because accidents are unplanned. And until it happens, you would never imagine that something like that can happen. All you would know is teams have been traveling to Mali, to Freetown, to Guinea, to Conakry by land. And we have never had any incident. So when we have an incident, it's now a moment for us to reflect and take stock of the situation and ask ourselves whether this is the safest way or what can we do to make it better. But what we did, even when the Gambia Basketball Association gave us a budget of their travel to 1.2 million is what they requested for, to go to Guinea, we provided $1 million, which is almost the entire budget because the order was based on a revised item. When we took out some few things because we already provided those equipments to them when they were going to Senegal, and we said you can use the same thing to go to Guinea. So it essentially entirely funded. But the idea of a bus, our responsibility is to ensure that they take a good bus and ensure that the drivers are qualified, and then we process the document for them. And the Sport Council did that. My first conversation with Jaula, the acting director there, was I hope they have a good boss, and he said yes, they will ensure that they hire a very good. And the boss they took is actually a new boss, and the driver is said to be experienced and understand the terrain. So what happened was an unfortunate incident, and yes, when incident happened, you don't say it's the other one that is to be blamed. But anybody who understood the story, these guys traveled from Gambia, went past through Senegal, and they went to Guinea. They were just like 2.5 hours away from Conakry, which was almost at the tail end. And then there was an approaching vehicle, and then they were trying to, dive that, and then the incident happened. So it's just one of those things that nobody would have expected. But for us, as a government, we have a responsibility to respond, and we responded. They were on a journey. What they needed from us, we provided, which is finance, and then documentation for easy pass in terms of border crossing, and that was done. When the incident happened, we got the conversations going on, and then got the instruction of the president to charter the flight and go to Guinea and get them and then bring them here to ensure they get the medical treatment. But of course, the government of Guinea was also very supportive because when the incident happened in that Kindia area, the governor there was in touch with the ministry. They moved them to Conakry the next day, and then that same day is when government chartered the plane in the evening to go get them. And that is what a responsible government will do to its people when incident happened. And when they came here, we had a medical response at the airport. The staff from the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital were there. Volunteers from the Red Cross were there, and then we have all the services that are needed. Amazing. And they did everything they could have done. Checked them there at the airport. Those that could be taken home, we took them to a hotel to spend the night, and the next day they went home. Others that need further treatment were brought to Aidan Demban or Edward Francis Small. But alhamdulillah, all of them were discharged the next 2 days. It was only 2 of them that were kept there for a few additional days, and then they were discharged.
And now to the elephant in the house, and that is the Independence Stadium. Appraise us with, the status of the stadium at the moment, because again, for at least the 3rd or 4th time, we are not listed in the approved, stadiums for CAF, A matches, and can you give us an update about that?
How far?
Yeah.
We are on it, and of course, we will take this opportunity to apologize to Gambians, especially sports and football fans who have been yearning to play, to watch the team play at the stadium, and that is what our wish is as ministers, as government. And I tell people that if there's anyone that wants the stadium to be ready and be open, you can't have that desire more than us. Because today we are the ones that are receiving the hits and everything. As a ministry, as a government, myself, the president, every one of us, and of course even the Football Federation. But there are a lot more technical issues that sometimes people just need to take their time to understand. And then there's other issues that has to do with financing, financial aspects that they also need to take time to understand. But it's all one government, and we are all operating under the same governance systems and procurement laws, procurement processes, whose violation or even jumping one step could mean something else. And they're the same Gambians that would blame people for saying, oh, they did this, they did that, without understanding anything. So we're taking our time. But at the moment, the pitch is the problem, because the last inspection of CAF, they passed everything except the pitch. And we understand what the problem with the pitch is. There was we don't have the right equipment that are needed to maintain a hybrid pitch. And then also we don't have the right personnel. So that is what we are focusing on now, getting the equipments and getting the staff trained. So a company is being hired through a third party, of course, to come in and order all the equipment that are listed by the CAF consultant who was sent here to do an assessment of the pitch, and he came up with what needs to be done. That was shared out to partners to companies there. And we have had companies express interest in taking care of it. And we concluded on one that is supposed to come from France. That will be here for mainly 3 things: to take care of the current situation, with the grass, with the weed coming on the grass, and then, the leveling of the pitch. And then also to supply all the equipment that are needed, which they are not even available anywhere in Africa. You have to order them from France. And so they are getting them, of course, from Europe, but this time around it's coming from France. And then the third is, once they buy the equipment, they fix the pitch, then they will train the local staff for a period of 2 months. And we're targeting this to start September, and then it will end in December. So we believe that around December time, everything will be done. But the other thing we are doing also, because we have a long period and we know stadium is not just about football, we are also taking the opportunity to fix the tracks at once. So the contract that is giving also will be complete removal of the old tracks and replacement with new tracks. So our hope is that by the end of this year, the stadium will be completely done in terms of both the athletic side and the football side. And the disability platform that CAF recommended is also going to be installed in one of the areas, so that people with some challenges can be able to have access areas to go onto the stadium. They recommended for additional cameras for the CCTV, because what is there is not adequate, and that also is being processed to put that in place. So quite a number of changes. They even want additional entry gates at the outside, on the walls. And we're doing that. And some of these things also were never there from the beginning. But then, because we keep delaying, and every occasion CAF keep changing, and security and safety aspect, they now want us to add more gates in addition to the 4 main gates of the stadium. So that means we have to break the walls again to create entry gates in certain areas. So, but that is ongoing. That part is ongoing. The other part is in the process, and we'll hope to get it done.
There are 3 questions to go before the end of this interview. I'll also talk about disability a moment, because we have seen some engagement of disability sports in this country again. That also, did some successful outing under the support, with the leadership and support from your ministry.
When we're talking about that, the deaf, the hard of hearing.
The hard of hearing.
They won their match yesterday in Nigeria.
Yes.
Well, maybe by the time this is aired, it will no longer be yesterday.
Yes.
But they're now going to the final with Nigeria, and in Abuja. So they're meeting the host team. We hope that they'll be able to defeat the host team and bring the trophy home.
Yeah.
But that shows how inclusive we are, because 2 years ago we supported the amputee to go to Egypt, and now we supported the hard of hearing to go to Nigeria for the West Africa Zonal Tournament.
And this will be a life-changing opportunity for most of them, because they were excited to be a part of this. But there are also the news trending on social media that a new stadium will be built by the government soon.
Yeah.
What is the fact about that information?
It's correct in terms of the generality of it,
Yes.
which is that the government do have plans to build a second stadium. And we were in the process for a while in terms of identifying the ideal land for it. So we have now secured the land in Lamen, which is just behind St. Peter's. So it's a long stretch of land from St. Peter's going all the way to the Lamen Banjul Women's Garden. That's where we want to put it, and allocation is done. So the next phase, there's already a committee that has been set up, consisting of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Justice for the legal advice, to work on a financing model for the stadium. So it is not that we do have money available to build a stadium immediately, but we will have the land. We have set up a committee that will look at the financing, because stadiums, like we said, they are expensive, and people sometimes tend to think that a stadium is something that you can build with $500 million or even $1 billion. You need about $6 billion to build a stadium, which is about $150 million, dollars, or close to $200 million, depending on what you want to build. So raising that $100+ million is not small money, and we don't have it in our budget, with all fairness, and we cannot be able to do it from the local revenue that we have. So we either have to be able to have a partner country that is ready to support Gambia in building the second stadium, or government decides to go in and take a loan to build that stadium like some of our neighbors did. Is that an ideal situation? I wish, as minister, we leave behind a legacy of Gambia having a second stadium. The president will want that, because this stadium was built during Jawara time, and then we did not have any stadium. But it's not just about what we want. It's about what is feasible and what is possible in terms of the debt portfolio of the country. You don't want to add more debt to a country like Gambia for a stadium. So we're looking at the possibility. That committee are the committee of experts. They are the ones that can be able to advise us, the ministers, to say we have looked at all the funding models and this is what we think is possible, and then we'll go with that.
How do you react sometimes with all this intention for the Gambia to have something that can serve the purpose of the young people, and let us say some issues circulating that are not confirmed by your ministry? Do you react to that?
We mean in terms of the stadium?
Yeah, the stadium.
No, it's not that, because it's a government position. So sometimes when this information comes out, it's because maybe somebody knows the process that we are already undertaking, and then they know that the land is allocated. Just yesterday, I was told that the allocation letter has been done, and it's not just us, because we're doing allocation to both the stadium and the Lamen mini stadium. So we have a parcel of the land that's going to be given to the community of Lamen. So that is the process that is away. And of course, the setting up of the committee. The committee is an advanced stage, because they went to Senegal on a study tour to study how Senegal funded the Abdoulaye Wade Stadium. And so that is the process ongoing. And I guess the declaration was that government is planning to build a second stadium, which is correct. Because when you get a land, when you set up a committee and you send them out to go and look at the funding model, that means you are ready to do it. Now, how soon you will do it, that's where the problem is. But we are in the process, and we are satisfied so far with the progress that has been made, and we look forward to be able to have a second stadium for the country.
Yeah, almost going to the end of this interview, but the country in recent week has been, grappling with youth protests from Ghana, who petitioned the Gambia Football Federation through your ministry for the mismanagement of FIFA funds, and gave an ultimatum for government to address that alleged mismanagement issues at the Gambia Football Federation, including lack of accountability, and inadequate infrastructure facilities for the youth. By the way, did you receive the petition, and what was your reaction?
No, we received it. Of course, it was sent to the Sport Council, but the Sport Council is a body of the ministry, and they did what they're supposed to do, which is to receive it and share it with us. And we've asked them to respond to Gala officially, because it's just respectful that if somebody writes to you, you just respond to the person based on your observation of whatever their demands are. And we appreciate that. For us, it's a democracy, and every person, young person or old, has a voice. And your voice can be heard in multiple ways, whether you write or you go to the radio and talk, or you do a protest, of course, within the confines of the law when you get permit. And on that one, they got a permit, and then they went out, they made their demands, we received it. Now, will it translate into immediate action like what they said, 90 days? That's where the problem is, because governance is not like my own house, I want this done and it's done. There's a lot more process, and I think those young people whom some of us know also must understand that. Now, but the Gambia Football Federation, like I always say, and sometimes I know people don't want to hear this, but I will always want to be on record, to be very direct, is an independent body. They are not an institution of the ministry. Yes, they are a national institution whose operations and actions are under the laws of the Gambia and under the supervision of the ministry through the Sport Council. But when it comes to issues of them and FIFA, that is an issue of membership. And these people also, the young people also must understand that if you have a private organization, the members of the association is the one that holds the executive accountable. Government's responsibility is to ensure that the money coming in on behalf of the Gambia is put where it is supposed to be. And that can only be confirmed through audits and inspections. And FIFA audits and inspections have given pass to the Gambia Football Federation. And we receive the reports annually. Whenever there is an audit report every year, the Gambia Football Federation will write a report and then send it to us. And then we go through it, and we've not seen where FIFA allege financial malpractices. If they do, and they ask us to act, we will. We give money to the federation also for the operation of the national teams and maybe some other smaller teams sometime when we support. And there has not been an audit yet, but maybe if there is an audit and something comes up, then government will act, because now that becomes government money, public funds that are given to the federation. So that has not really happened, because in the past, they audit us. The Ministry of the National Audit Office audit us. It is in recent times that the Football Federation opened a separate account for government funds to go there directly. And anytime they are ready to audit, the body responsible for audit will go there.
That doesn't have any link with the FIFA fund?
No. It's separated from FIFA funds. That's how it is arranged now. The FIFA funds have their own account, the government funds have its own account. So accountability becomes much easier. So sometimes, and that's what maybe is good you ask them, because sometimes that's people don't understand. Well, behind the scene, we're doing our best to ensure that accountability and transparency exist. But then maybe these are things that are internal management issues. We don't go out there and say this is what we did, this is what we did. But we're doing everything possible to ensure that monies given to them are accounted in the right way. And we believe that they're doing the right thing. So in terms of infrastructure, they are right. Because in the new sport policy that was adopted by the Ministry of Youth and Sports with stakeholders, our focus is on infrastructure, moving forward from 2025 for the next 2 years or 3 years. The strategic plan is a 5-year strategic plan, but the first part of it is about infrastructure. Even though it's challenging, because teams will still come and say, give us money, we want to go there. But we know that we have a deficiency in infrastructure. And our focus now is how do we support communities to get some basic facilities, not the standards that people wish, but something basic that they can start with. And I see we've done that in Buyam, we did in Kiang, we've done that in Janjambure, and then in Sandu. And now we are doing Boyofil in Bakote, Serekunda area. And these are all part of the efforts to improve our infrastructure. And Boyofil is a model because it has football, it has basketball, volleyball, and handball. It has a pavilion and the floodlights and all that. Yeah. So that's what we want to now use as a sample to be able to do the same in the North Bank, do the same thing in Sierra. And I hope that we'll be able to get the money to do that. So to the young people of the Gambia that are part of Gala and others that are not, we hear them. But then we want them to give us time to be able to get things right and understand that this government is just about 8 years old. We're doing our best, but also if maybe one can refer back to say, or maybe the previous government 60 years ago were doing what we're doing now, we wouldn't have been in this situation. But we're doing our best to respond to the needs of the young people and the needs of sports.
Finally, let's talk about youth matters, especially disability. We have seen a lot of progresses done with, involving youth in productive things in this country.
Yeah.
And we have seen infrastructures cater for most of those youths also in the areas countrywide. NYSS is doing good with young people being involved in different skills and other things that can improve their standards and their living outside. What is a ministry that is responsible for all youth? Because we have seen, even though we do not want it to be that way, but disability, there are people who got their food chopped up because of illness or sickness, and they become part of the community. So what is your ministry's plan, for general assessment on that level, to bring in something that can also give them that suitable environment?
No, for us, inclusivity is key in the work that we do, and that's why earlier on when we talk about sport, we did make mention of the amputee, the now hard of hearing, and deaf football, like they call it.
Paralympic committee.
Yeah, Paralympics, of course. I mean, I forgot about you people. The Paralympic committee and how much people are doing in terms of 3-on-3 basketball, in terms of powerlifting and all of those stuff, and and even the race, the wheelchair race, all of those things. We have seen that, in instances where they have events, we do support where we can. So that's inclusivity. Now, when it comes to the youth part, the NYSS recruitment, and I met up with them 3 days ago, and I told them that 3 years ago, in 2023, well, actually it's now 2 years, 2022, 3 years, the recruitment of NYSS in 2022 got for the first time people with disability. We got 5 young people who are from the hard of hearing included in the NYSS for the first time. Last year, when we recruited, we did the same thing. This apprenticeship training program that we just completed 2 months ago, we did the same. So we trying to expand to ensure that we are more inclusive, and even this current one that is ongoing, we ensure that we just not limit ourselves to UTG, but other universities, and even the Islamic University is on board now, so that we can cater for young people who are not in the English schools actually. So that inclusivity is there, and we will always strive our best under the circumstances to bring people who are young people on board. Because like you said, it's the challenges that they have, whether it's physical or it's visual or hearing impairment, it's not designed. It's either maybe some of them are born with it, some of them got it along the way due to accidents or due to sickness, and they are supposed to be catered for as much as possible. The issues sometimes are the challenges, maybe the people themselves sometimes are not very confident, to come out and take part in it, because maybe it's the social mindset, because of the discrimination that they have, sometimes are not very comfortable. But we encourage young people, whether you're a young person who has no physical ability challenges or whatever, or we want people to understand that when we say recruitment, we're calling every young person who meets the requirement. If you have grade 12 and they say grade 12 doesn't need to come on board, it doesn't mean that you'll be selected, but if you pass, you will. Because, example, this current batch we took 100, but I was told that there were 336 applicants. So, and when we are only taking 100, so that means you have left out 236. So maybe somebody might be part of that and he felt, I wasn't chosen because I have a disability. No, it's probably because there is a very competitive selection process that is there.
And the requirement that you need to meet.
They need the requirement before they can come on board. But once they meet the requirement, sometimes even if need be, we would do what they call positive discrimination to get more people with disability on board.
Well, that's all we have for you in this edition of the 360 SPS Sport Program on THDTV. Like I said today, we have a big guest today. He's the man responsible for youth matters and sports in this country. I guess we have had a lot of the questions that he have answered are the ones circulating or relating to issues discussed outside his office. But I will thank you so very much for granting us this interview once again. And we also want to thank the media team and the ministry to facilitate this quick interview between you and THDTV. It's a pleasure once again. Gambia, watch us for another episode next week. We'll be here with a new interview from another part of the sports sector. Until we come your way, have a peaceful afternoon.